Hello and welcome to this League of Legends video, and the goal of this video is of course to give you a framework, a checklist, an idea of what you need to do to give yourself the best chance to win all 10 placement games in Season 10. It's a new decade, let's start it off on the right foot, even if it's League of Legends. And this video will be the first of the official Season 10 patches as preseason has finally finished. Everyone on your knees and rejoice because that was probably one of the most fun things I've ever seen in my life. But now that means we can turn our attention to reaching your goals in this new season and starting it off on the right foot. And essentially the most common question is, should you wait to do your placements or should you do them now? And once we've gone through all the aspects of the video, as you will see on the bottom left of your screen now, and hopefully I can help you make the right choice. And as always, if you enjoy the video and like the content, please consider clicking the like button and perhaps even subscribing if you would like to see more. Now please, I cannot stress this enough, do not go into a game without reading the patch notes. The last thing any of us wants, the last thing you want, is to go into a game and see set and champion select and ask who is that. Make sure you are informed and up to date on the state of the game. It really doesn't take that long, there are a bunch of patch rundown videos on YouTube. But the most important thing from that is if you missed any of my videos on preseason during Season 10, updating the way you should play the game, I would actually take time to go watch those things. Doesn't have to necessarily be my content, but making sure you are up to date on the strategies, the jungle routes, the itemizations, which champions are kind of strong at the moment. We have our top junglers guides. You're seeing highlights of some of those videos now, you know, so even though there's not a lot of effects in this video, you're seeing how many effects we put in during the preseason just to make sure all my viewers as well as myself have the best possible game knowledge as we head into placements, and that's been what the last 2 months has been about for me. So if you're a jungler and you don't know whether you should gank or farm, we have a video for that. We have different strategies on how you compare the gank and impact the map. It's very important that you watch these videos and have a game plan before each game you play. Laners, it's good to know what the junglers are going to do as well, because if you know the bottom lane's being camped from level 2 onwards, you can also play accordingly. On that note, you must actually have some mechanical preparation as well. If you've been like me, taking a bit of a break, you need to reacclimate yourself to the game a bit. Go into the practice tool, don't buy any items, practice laning against a bot, get your CS patterns down, get your harass patterns down. Junglers do the same thing, go do some clears with your mains, make sure you are kiting, you're healthy, you're efficient, put some bots down, practice some ganks even. Get used to using your F keys and minimap again, see what levels you can solo the dragons, really get yourself into the fluid nature of the game once more, maybe do a normal if you are really rusty, but if you have been playing enough, simply these practice tool scenarios should be enough just to make sure your muscle memory is activated and you're good to go. Now say you've done that, you're caught up on the meta, you understand what the game is right now, the first thing you want to do after that is setting up your champ pool and your role. Now as most of you know and would have gotten from my videos, I'm not exactly the most content with the state of the jungle at the moment, and I don't think a lot of other junglers are. We would like a bit more XP, we would like a bit more gold, but I do have my backup role. Many junglers do like to back up mid lane or support because it lets us control the map to a similar degree, except in this case you have a bit more impact from the laning phase. Of course, if I don't like the jungle meta, I go support. I play Zyra, I play Volkaz, I do play Ornn, I do play Volibear, but I do think Zyra would be the best pick at the moment. For my jungle pool, Warwick is good, Ornn is actually very good right now in the top lane, but as I main him in the jungle, I think he can also do very well there for me, in addition to Warwick and Rek'Sai. So my champion pool hasn't much changed from Season 9. I know what I'm going to play as soon as I get into the lobby. I know I'm probably banning the Echo or the Olaf. And that's just a framework of my idea before I even go in. I'm not logging in, queuing up and thinking when I get into champion select, you know, actually who's strong and who should I play? But on this note, I will have an in-depth video coming out on how to round out your champion pool. Keep an eye on my Twitter and Discord for that, because it's not exactly going to be on my channel. And if you guys do want, I can do a best champions for placements video for all roles. Just let me know in the comments, of course. So in summary for what I just said, know your main 3 options for main and backup role. Understand how they play the meta, and know under which circumstances you will like to play your champions. Obviously, it's best to adapt. If you have, say, Warwick, Olaf, and Echo in your champion pool, and you see Olaf picked on the other side, you're not going to want to go with the Warwick, you're going to want to go with your Echo. If the enemy team bans Echo and picks Olaf, you won't have a choice but to go Warwick, but hopefully because they are your mains, you understand how to play the matchup accordingly. Know your runes, know your itemizations, and if you do get auto-filled, I wish you the best of luck, but do have an option ready. You really don't want to have to dodge in your placements. You can play them out, you can still have success. And on the note of dodges, it doesn't exactly count as a -1 in your placements. You don't dodge and have to do 9. You still have to do 10 games, but it counts as a hidden loss. This means, let's say you win all 10 games, but you dodged 4 games, you have effectively won 10 out of 14 games, and that's an official Riot source on the matter. So you might win all 10 like this video is trying to help you to do, but you would have lost 4 because you dodged because you didn't have your champions ready for that auto-filled moment. If you have to go top lane, play Warwick, play Olaf. Those are both good choices. And then there you have it. That's the framework for my idea. Of course, I'm experienced. I've done this many times now, so it's quick and easy for me to sort of catch up with the game, making the videos, and then selecting what champions I wish to play. And once you've done these two things, read the patch notes, caught up on the meta, caught up on what the game is currently, and you know what you're going to play in what positions, you're ready to actually queue up. And this is where I want to approach something called playing in sets. Very much how you would play a best of 5 in League or best of 7 in the NBA Finals. You want to make sure you are playing with a dedicated purpose. There should be no, I'm going in to play 1, 2, 3, 4 games or whatever, I don't know. And please excuse me for applying teaching or coaching strategies to this, but placements really sets the tone for the rest of your season. If you go 0-10 because you weren't prepared, you're just going to be frustrated from the outset, especially if you're looking to climb higher than you've done in the past. And when I say playing in sets, I mean you sit down and you have time for 3 games, now you play. When you sit down and you have time for 5 games, now you can play. And the whole goal of this is to prevent your mentality from crumbling at the very outset. If you do a best of 3, if you win 2 games out of the 3, then you can go on to the next set. If you're playing a set of 5 games because you have a bigger time chunk, if you win 3 out of the 5, then you can go on to the next one. Obviously, in this case, I'm assuming you have an extended amount of time to do your placements. It is coming on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday this year, so most of us should have time to actually get in a bunch of games. What happens is if you win the first 2 of your placements, you play the third and you lose it, and then you say, okay, right, I have time for another 3 games, but you lose the first one of the second set, it can be a really good idea to take a break. As a rule of thumb, if you lose 2 in a row, in any situation, you stop playing, you take a break. That can mean playing some Jedi Fallen Order, that can mean watching some Netflix, that can mean smashing your desk, going to get some food but throwing it away because you're too disgusted with yourself to even play anymore, you're questioning what you're doing with your time, where's your place in the universe, why did you decide to main Soraka jungle, why do you do this to yourself? Once you've calmed down, you can go back, log in, and play again. The last thing you want is to do your placements when you're crumbling like the piece of toast you had for breakfast. Now we're going to revisit this whole playing in sets thing at the end of the video when we talk about doing your placements now or waiting. Let's shift focus to talk about your mental, or using actual English phrases, your mentality about the game. If you win the first 2 and then you lose the next 2 and you have a breakdown like I just mentioned, then you're probably not really in the best state. And there should be no reason for that. If you needed to take a break from the game, you just had 2 months where you could have done it. Ultimately, if you want to win all your placement games, you really need to have it fresh, so if you have any semblance of tilt, take the break, restrain yourself, tie yourself down if you want, get Evelyn to help you. Just don't compromise your season because you are stubborn. And now ultimately, you don't want to have to rush through these games. If you lose lane in the first 3 minutes, if you get out jungled in the first 5 minutes and you know, maybe it's 0-7 and you lost the first dragon, please don't start rushing through the games thinking, hey, well, this is lost, give up. I released a video on how to play from behind as a jungler. It has good principles that you can use to rely on your lanes as well. Needless to say, if you want to have the best chance of placing where you want to place, giving up in the first 10 minutes of a rough game isn't exactly the best way to go about it. So make sure your mentality is set, don't rush through your games, take your time to come back, have faith in yourself to carry, and you'll be ready to go. Now, as the final point before we get to our conclusions on this video, I want to talk about conditions of when you play. Now, obviously for adults that are married, have families or jobs or whatever, this is more difficult, but the idea is definitely to have enough time to play in those sets, 3 or 5, depending on what window of time you have, but make sure you didn't just have the worst day of work in your life. The last thing you need to do is have a rough day, come home, and now you're going to play 3 placements really tilted, you lose all 3 of those, and basically you just end up in a grouchy mood all week. That may sound like a bit of life advice, but the whole point of League of Legends for most of us, those who don't have permanent streaming jobs or whatever, is that it adds some kind of benefit to us, and if it's starting to become a negative thing, it can affect a lot of other aspects. And one of those aspects is in fact your placements. So just make sure you're hyped up, you're in the right frame of mind, you've got the epic orchestral music going on YouTube, you haven't just played 3 hours of Jump King and fallen all the way back down. All I'm saying is just be aware about your own mental state in such that you actually want to play the game, you want to do your placements, and you're entirely focused on that activity. And so it comes down to, should you do all your placements now or should you wait? My personal opinion is that I enjoy taking advantage of the higher game quality, so I make sure to set a bit of time around that I can do all 10 in a pretty reasonable time frame, usually 2 sets of 5 on the first day. Even if you win the first 3 out of 5, maybe you win 4 out of 5, maybe 5 out of 5, hopefully if you've been paying attention to the video. Take a little bit of a break, go do some weights, get strong, come back and do the second 5. Your mentality will be in such a better spot if you do that on the first day. If you are someone who likes to wait and see how the meta develops, perhaps your champions are just in a really weak state right now and you don't live and breathe playing ranked, you like to play normals, it's okay to actually wait a little bit. But for most of you who are watching this video probably looking to climb the season, delaying the inevitable doesn't do you any good. All the best players are back after a break, you might have higher people in your game and get some free carries as well. And honestly, placements can sometimes be like a bit of a band-aid. Rip it off, get it over with, and now focus on your climb. Obviously in this video I'm suggesting a measured approach, but I would highly suggest setting up blocks of time this weekend with sets of 3 or sets of 5 such that you can finish all 10 games and then you can begin next week fresh, ready to go, and begin your climb. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you were able to enjoy the video. I hope it gave you a bit of a framework about how to approach your placements to give yourself the best chance to win all 10. Best of luck to all of you who do them this weekend. Junglers, stay strong. We will have our time again, I hope. Please do like, share, and comment if you did enjoy it. Consider subscribing for a whole bunch of new videos coming very soon. And as always, I will see you all in the next tutorial.